There was a time in my life when I believed that my desires were the reason I suffered. I thought I wanted too much success, too much recognition, too much money, too much progress, too much certainty that my life was becoming something important. And because I always wanted more, I rarely felt at peace. Every morning, I woke up with a quiet sense that something was missing. Not always something dramatic. Sometimes it was just a feeling that where I was not enough. That who I was not enough. That what I had was not enough. It became such a familiar state that I hardly questioned it. I thought that was normal. I thought that was how life worked. You wake up. You chase something. You reach a goal. You feel good for a little while. Then the feeling fades. And then you chase the next thing. That rhythm became the background of my life. And the strange part was, from the outside, it often looked reasonable. The world encourages this kind of movement. It tells you to dream bigger, work harder, build more, earn more, become more. And if you are not careful, you begin to believe that your restlessness is not a problem. It is ambition. It is drive. It is growth. That is what I believed. So I kept moving forward. I set goals. I made plans. I pushed myself. I sacrificed time, energy, peace, and sometimes even presence with the people I loved. Because I thought that once I arrived at the next point, everything inside me would settle. I told myself, when this happens, I will finally feel lighter. When I reach this level, I will finally relax. When I achieve this thing, I will finally feel whole. And then, sometimes, I actually got what I wanted. That was the confusing part. There were moments when the thing I had been chasing finally came into my hands. A project worked. A goal was reached. A result appeared. A door opened. And yes, for a moment, it felt wonderful. There was relief, excitement, the sweet feeling of effort turning into reward. I remember those moments clearly. The message arriving, the call being made, the feeling of telling someone close to me. It happened. For a little while, my heart felt full. But that fullness never stayed. A few days later, sometimes even sooner, something inside me would quietly shift. The mind would start again. What next? What more? How do I make this bigger? How do I not lose this? What should I aim for now? And just like that, the finish line moved. Again. That pattern repeated itself so many times that eventually I had to ask a painful question. Why do I keep reaching things and still feeling incomplete? Why does satisfaction disappear so quickly? Why does every victory seem to open the door to another form of hunger? For a long time, I thought the answer was simple. I thought desire itself was the enemy. I thought wanting was the problem. If I could just stop wanting so much, I would finally be free. So there were periods when I tried to control it. I tried to force myself to be content. I tried to reduce my expectations. I tried to tell myself that I should not care so much. But that approach did not bring peace either. Because desire does not disappear just because you judge it. If anything, what we resist inside ourselves often becomes louder. The more I tried to suppress my wanting, the more tense I became. It was like trying not to think of something and discovering that the act of resisting it kept it alive. So then I found myself stuck in a strange place. When I followed desire blindly, I felt restless. When I tried to fight desire completely, I felt divided inside. Either way, there was tension. Either way, there was no peace. And this continued until one quiet evening, when something in me became impossible to ignore. I was sitting alone in a small cafe near home. Nothing dramatic had happened that day. No failure. No success. No major turning point. Just an ordinary evening. Lights outside. People passing by. Cups clinking softly. The kind of moment most people would barely remember. But inside me, the movement was loud. My body was sitting still. But my mind was not. It was already in tomorrow. Already in next month. Already imagining what else I needed. What else I should do. What else I had not yet become. And suddenly, I noticed something with painful clarity. My mind did not know how to rest, even in a quiet moment. It was searching for the next object, the next result, the next improvement, the next proof that I was moving forward. That was when the deeper question arose. If I keep living like this, will I ever feel that I have enough? Or will enough always remain one step ahead of me? That question stayed, not as an intellectual idea, as something more intimate, more unsettling, because I began to see that I was not just pursuing goals. I was building my inner life around pursuit itself. I was depending on the future to give me permission to feel complete. And that dependence was exhausting. Later, during a satsang, I heard a sentence that changed the way I saw all of this. The problem is not desire. The problem is being carried away by it. That sentence was simple. Almost too simple. But it opened something in me. Because for the first time, I saw that maybe I had been looking at this whole struggle in the wrong way. Maybe desire was not a monster that had to be killed. Maybe it was just a movement arising in the mind, like a thought, like an emotion, like a wave, something that appears, becomes strong, and then, if allowed to be seen clearly, passes. The real suffering was not that desire appeared. The suffering came from the way I merged with it. A desire would arise, and instead of simply noticing it, I became it. If I wanted something, it felt like I had to chase it. If I felt lack, it felt like I had to obey it. If I imagined a better future, it felt like I had to sacrifice the present in order to deserve it. That was the trap, not desire itself. Identification, not wanting, being possessed by wanting. So I started practicing something new. Not repression, not indulgence, observation. When a desire appeared, I tried not to move immediately. I did not rush to fulfill it. I did not rush to deny it either. I just looked. I would sit quietly and ask, what is this really? Where is it coming from? What does it promise me? What am I hoping to feel? If I get it? This changed everything. Because once I looked closely, I began to notice that not all desires were the same. Some desires were simple and natural. The desire to create, the desire to contribute, the desire to provide, the desire to grow in a meaningful way. These did not feel violent inside. They had energy, but not panic. They moved, but they did not drag me. Other desires felt very different. They had urgency, tension, a strange emotional charge. Sometimes I would want something, not because I truly needed it, but because I wanted to feel seen. Sometimes I would chase a new goal, not because it mattered deeply to me, but because I was afraid of feeling behind. Sometimes I thought I wanted the object itself. But when I looked more honestly, what I really wanted was the feeling I believed it would give me. Respect, security, approval, control, worth. That was a powerful realization. Because once I saw that, the object lost some of its power. I remember having moments when I thought I desperately wanted something external, a possession, a result, a visible symbol of success. And when I sat with the desire long enough, I saw that the object was just a costume. What I really longed for was the feeling underneath it. I did not actually want the thing itself as much as I wanted what I imagined it would fix inside me. And the moment that became clear, the intensity softened. Not always instantly, not perfectly, but enough to create space. And that space was freedom. Because before that, desire had always felt like a command. Now it became something I could meet consciously. Something I could choose to follow or not follow. Something I could learn from. Slowly, I began to understand that peace does not come from having no desires. It comes from not being enslaved by them. I can still want things. I can still have dreams. I can still build, work, improve, and create. But I no longer want to place my entire happiness on the other side of achievement. Because I have seen where that road leads. It leads to a life that is always almost beginning. Always almost enough. Always almost peaceful. And almost is a painful place to live. So instead, I began returning to this moment more often. To the breath. To the body. To the ordinary quietness that exists before the next pursuit begins. Sometimes it happened during a walk with no destination. Sometimes while drinking tea slowly. Sometimes while noticing the evening light on a wall. Sometimes while sitting without trying to improve anything. And in those moments, I discovered something that no achievement had ever given me. A quiet kind of fullness. Not excitement. Not pride. Not the sharp pleasure of finally getting what I wanted. Something gentler. Enoughness. A feeling that for this moment, nothing needed to be added. That feeling did not come because life became perfect. It came because, for a moment, I stopped arguing with what already was. And maybe that is what I had been missing for so many years. Not the next result. Not the next possession. Not the next version of myself. But the ability to be here without immediately turning this moment into a problem to solve. That is the shift. Desire still comes. Of course it does. There are still things I hope for. Still things I work toward. Still moments when I feel the old pull toward more. But now, I try to meet that movement with awareness. I ask, is this a true calling? Or a borrowed hunger? Is this something meaningful? Or just a reaction to emptiness? Am I moving from clarity? Or from fear that I am not enough as I am? Those questions have saved me many times. Because awareness does not kill desire. It purifies it. It helps separate what is real from what is noise. And in that clarity, life becomes lighter. So if you have been feeling tired from always wanting the next thing, if you have been reaching and still feeling strangely empty, please know this. There is nothing wrong with having desires. You do not need to become someone who wants nothing. You do not need to fight yourself to find peace. You only need to stop being unconscious inside your wanting. The next time desire appears, pause. Do not rush to satisfy it. Do not rush to suppress it. Just notice it. Sit with it. Listen to it. Let it reveal itself. You may find that some desires are not really yours. You may find that some are covering a deeper wound. You may find that some are harmless, and some are quietly ruling your life. And in seeing clearly, something beautiful happens. You become bigger than the desire itself. You are no longer trapped inside it. You are the one who sees. And from that place, there is freedom. Freedom to pursue. Freedom to let go. Freedom to dream without making your dreams the prison of your peace. Because happiness may not be waiting at the end of desire. It may be here already, beneath all the grasping, beneath all the chasing, beneath the voice that says, you must become more before you can rest. Maybe what you are looking for is not on the other side of getting everything you want. Maybe it is in the simple moment when you stop running after the next thing long enough to come back to yourself. If this spoke to something quiet inside you, stay here with me on Calm Within.